Good morning, everyone. I pray that your Wednesday you found spaces and places of joy, of peace, of happiness, that you found a time where you could just laugh at yourself, where you could be silly, where you could drop your guard down and just allow yourself to feel lighthearted and not so heavy. We're going through a time period, this COVID-19, where things, because of the virus, feel very heavy. We've been self-isolating. So my invitation to you is to be intentional about allowing yourself to be silly, to be playful, and get rid of the idea of I might embarrass myself, because just suppose you might not. And being playful where it's typically whether or not you're embarrassed is based on the other person and not necessarily on what you're doing. Today we will continue. I've been talking about the three types of fears that really stop you from being your best self, that stop you from walking in your purpose, that stop you from being all that you can be. Now I'm going to combine the other two. Yesterday was a fear of embarrassing yourself or doing something that's embarrassing. And today, the two-sided coin I'm going to talk about is fear of failure and fear of success. And I'm putting them together because they really are intertwined. I'll start with fear of failure. For some of us, we grew up in households where failure was not an option. If we came home with anything less than an A, you were in trouble. If you did not clean your room perfectly, you were in trouble. If anything was out of place, you were in trouble. If you went into the living room with the plastic covered couch and chairs and even went in there for anything other than dusting, you were in trouble because things had to be perfect. Things had to be a particular way. And so you grew up believing that failure was not an option, that if you could not do something perfectly, you had no interest in doing it. And the challenge with that, it prevents you from trying new things. It prevents you from having new experiences. It prevents you from taking risks and possibly finding joy in a new and different way, possibly exploring the world in a new and different way. So we have fear of failure. And a lot of times for people who have increased anxiety, our fear of failure, we take that fear and we just massage it and we make it much bigger than it needs to be. We make it a lot, we give it more impact. And I have been guilty of that myself. I remember when I was raising my children, and if they were not doing well in school or if they were slacking off, I'd say, yeah, well, you just keep messing around because I've already gotten through school. I've already gotten my high school diploma. And, if you keep messing up like that, the only thing that's going to be waiting for you is a job where you're going to say, do you need fries with that hamburger? And I would just go to an extreme simply because maybe they got a C- on a spelling test. What I have learned is, and I learned while I was raising my children, is that each person operates at a different ability level. We have different strengths. We have different challenges. And so the fear of failure can vary because failure may mean something very different depending on where your strengths lie. Now, my experience for me is if I order a piece of furniture or anything that needs to be put together, my pattern has typically been when I finish putting it together, I have extra pieces, I didn't follow the directions as well as I should, and so it's not necessarily an epic failure, but it's not necessarily perfect. And I have come to recognize that there are times when I want to challenge myself to see if I can get better, or times when I just say, I need someone else to do it, or times when good enough has to be good enough. On the flip side of that coin is fear of success. Now, there are some persons we have goals, we have abilities, we have things that we are good at. We may be good strategizers, we may be very creative, we may be very intentional about detail. We may have a great idea. We may be able to process things. We may be able to think in a systematic way. We may be great at doing something, doing hair, doing nails, whatever it is that we do. But we begin to pursue that goal, and then we do something to self-sabotage. We do something to kind of put a wrench in the forward momentum that we have been gathering. And why do we do that? It's because of a fear of success. For some people, the idea of being successful is completely overwhelming. And why is that? Because our own self-assessment, the way we feel about ourselves, is such that we don't believe that we can be great. We don't believe that we have the skills. We don't believe that what we have to offer, someone else may benefit from it. We believe that that happens for other people. We believe that that happens for in other instances. My daughter, many of you know, is a professional artist, and her focus is on dance. That's her primary focus. And I remember when she was living here in Maryland, and we, moving to LA or New York was sort of on the horizon, but she was struggling with that idea. And I remember saying to her, as we would watch people perform on TV, artists, I would see their backup dancers, and I would always say, there's no reason why that can't be you. There's no reason why that can't be you. You dance just as well as that particular person or that particular person. And my daughter, it took her a little while to get on board, but eventually she did, and she walked through it. Now, was she completely brave? Not necessarily. Did she go through it with fear and trembling? Yes, she did. But she went through it. And she began to believe, as she began to get callbacks for auditions, she began to book jobs, that, wait a minute, I am good. I'm just as good as some of these other people, if not better. And so now her focus on success has completely shifted. And I would invite you all to think about it. You may not be a dancer, but there's some things that you do well. There's some things that are unique to you. There are some gifts that you have been given. I invite you to challenge your fear of success. Challenge that fear. Sometimes our fear of success says, no one's going to support me. They're going to laugh at me. And no one's going to think that what I'm doing is important. There's already so many other people doing it. Well, guess what? I don't know how many people are on this planet. I know there's billions of people. And if some people don't support you, that's fine. But there will be people who do. So I invite you to expand your scope of who you believe your audience is. When I first began to do these videos, I made it public because I wanted to reach more than, I made this page public because I wanted to reach more than just my group of Facebook friends. It never dawned on me that my current followers and the followers to come are actually from a global perspective. I have people who live in many different parts of the globe. And so I could have stopped myself and not start this page because my fear would be, well, the couple of 100 followers, I think I may have 200 followers on my private page. They're not going to follow me on a new page, and this is not going to be very successful, and I'm not going to keep it up because I tend not to be very disciplined, and I could go down a litany and litany and litany of negative messages I could have given myself. And truth be told, I did give myself some of those negative messages, but the joy and the beauty of it is my positive messages became louder than the negative messages. So what I would invite you to do, I want you to think about something, an area in your life that you would love to be able to do, that you would love to be able to share, that you would love to be able to work into, you love to be able to produce, whatever that is. Let's say you're a great baker. Let's say you're a great cook. I know someone, I have a friend who knew how to cook, and she began to cook simply to feed her and her child. And then friends began to say, "Oh, your food is so good. Can I purchase a meal from you?" And from that, she now owns a couple of restaurants because she did not have a fear of success. What she shared with me is initially when people asked, "Well, can I buy my food, buy some of your food?" She was thinking, that's kind of interesting. I never thought about selling my food. But she did not allow any fear to stop her from moving forward. So the question I have for you today is, how is fear of failure or fear of success impeding your life? What is it stopping you? How is it stopping you from being great? How is it stopping you from walking fully in your purpose? I know out there, my listeners, I have singers, I have dancers, I have entrepreneurs, I have writers, I have people who have so many gifts and talents that this world is just waiting to see and to be able to benefit from. As we end today, I invite you to consider those questions. How has fear of success or fear of failure, how has it been stopping you from being great? And to begin to think about that on purpose. Do you want to continue to stay stuck, or are you willing to take a risk, take a baby step, and begin the path to being all that you have been called to be? I invite you to now like and share this video. Again, thank you for all the persons who have made the decision to follow me. I really appreciate you. And until next time, have a wonderful day.